Again, we don't really have confirmation of any sort of tornado going on, but there is a tornado warning. If you're just joining us, that tornado warning is in effect for Henry County. And let's go ahead and plot that. I believe it was until 2:30. Yes, so for the next 27 minutes or so, 26 minutes, as it's now 2:04, this tornado warning is going to be in effect. And again, a lot of this has to do with the rotation that we're currently seeing. And our shear tracker was pointing toward there being strong rotation within this particular thunderstorm. And that's why the warning has been issued by the National Weather Service. Probably not a ton of lightning with it, as we still have some cold air around, so not seeing anything quite like that. But again, areas like horse pasture within the next 9 minutes or so, that's when you can expect to see the rotation overhead. I'll go ahead to the core of rotation again, and this estimated moving at about 50 miles per hour or so. So we get toward horse pasture in 9 minutes, Grassy Creek Ridgeway within the next 11 minutes. And Martinsville, you're included in that, right? So give it another 5-10 minutes. If you're watching from Henry County Schools or Martinsville City Schools, you guys need to be taking your severe weather precautions into play right now as we see this tornado warning. Again, nothing's been confirmed for us. This is all radar indicated so far. So that's at least some good news, and we'll hope to keep it that way for the next little bit. So again, there's your tracker for the next 10 minutes or so that shows us where exactly this is headed. Again, tornado warning until 2:30 p.m. Just going to step off screen so we can kind of reorient ourselves a little bit and get some of these icons off of the map for you guys. Give me just a second to do that. There we go. And we'll go to the more traditional radar that you guys are maybe more used to seeing, where you see some of the greens, the reds, the oranges. So again, when you look for tornadoes, the more typical look that you'll have is kind of a hook shape. And right now we don't necessarily see that, but I can tell you that the rotation, when we look at storm relative velocity, that is going to be right about on the North Carolina-Virginia border. So again, this is just a few miles to the south and to the west of Martinsville right now. So that again is tornado warning in effect until 2:30 p.m. If you're right along 220, that is definitely something to keep an eye on between Martinsville and Ridgeway. Again, so those are the two areas I keep mentioning with this tornado warning is Martinsville, Ridgeway, areas like horse pasture. Definitely need to be watching this very closely. So not necessarily seeing anything as far as a confirmed tornado. We haven't heard anything quite like that just yet, but we'll see if we can plot our shear tracker here. And Amit, it looks like we're having a little bit of trouble with the hand tracking. So if we could, let's go take camera 3 and put it onto the touch screen, if you don't mind. That way we can kind of better walk our viewers through exactly what is happening. Camera 4? Okay, very good. So you can see that behind me. Let's go ahead here, delete that a little bit. And storm relative velocity. So this is what we're looking at when we try to spot any sort of rotation. You can see right there, there's the green, that's the air that's going from southeast to northwest. And the red is the air that's going from northwest to southeast. So you see that rotation right there to the south and west of Martinsville. One of the things that we've been doing is keeping an eye on the shear rate. And so this is, again, a different product that we can utilize kind of in our toolbox. And what you see to the south and west of Ridgeway, those red pixels to the south of Highway 58 right there, it's an indication of some stronger rotation that could be seen. Again, this has not yet been confirmed. Do want to let you guys know about that. As far as hail, we're not really seeing anything in regards to hail, even lightning. If I were to go to track that, you're not seeing that just yet. But tornado warning does remain in effect. You see there for the areas in the red, this is until 2:30. And in fact, we'll kind of back up the view just a little bit more so that you guys can see that. So that is for Martinsville, Ridgeway, horse pasture, Collinsville until 2:30 p.m. The time now is 2:08. And regardless, this is some pretty hefty wind that's coming in. So regardless of if this is coming at you straight on or it's rotating, it almost doesn't matter as we kind of go ahead and look at the storm relative velocity here. Again, see a little bit of broad rotation. I've got Parker and Jeff who have just joined me in here at about 2:08. Jeff, are you mic'd up?
I am.
Okay,
yep.
let me go ahead and try and reconnect the hand tracker for you. And
I'm going to be using Max right now because I don't have the actual hand tracking thing.
The button, I can give you the clicker right now.
All right, let me go ahead and do that.
Yep, there you go.
One of the things that needs to be mentioned right now is there is this little line that is separating the greens and the reds. This is rotation. This is something that the guys have been watching for the better part of the last hour or so as it has moved from North Carolina into Virginia. There is certainly some rotation on here, but it's very important to note that the rotation is broad, and what we're hearing from the National Weather Service right now is that there's no confirmation of any tornado touchdown. The other thing that is very interesting, Chris and Parker, is temperatures in Martinsville are like in the lower 40s. And so what's going to happen is as this line of showers and thunderstorms makes its way to the north and to the east, well, that's not good.
There we go. I just pulled up Max for you.
Perfect.
That way.
Perfect. Yep. As this line moves to the north and to the east, it's going to encounter much warmer air, okay? So right now it's 38 in Martinsville. We have a tornado warning for Martinsville, and it's in the upper 30s and lower 40s in Henry County. There's more instability to be had further to the east towards Danville and also towards South Boston. So as that line of showers and thunderstorms moves to the east, there's going to be more juice for these showers and thunderstorms to interact with. Obviously, we've got flash flood warnings. We have tornado warnings. So this is just part one of the equation. Part two of the equation will happen as this line moves to the east. And it's moving relatively fast, is it not?
Yeah, I think the latest was moving to the north and east at about 50 miles per hour.
That's what I thought, 50 to 60 miles per hour. The storms in North Carolina earlier today were moving at about 70 to 80 miles per hour. So again, this is something we're going to need to keep a very close eye on for you for the rest of the afternoon. The actual radar here itself is showing that we do have some pretty nasty storms in between Stewart and Martinsville as we speak. I'm not going to be using Barron's anymore.
Okay. Yeah, it's for some reason. I'll go ahead. I'll click through it for you if you want a little bit that way while you're on screen.
Let's just focus on the Max computer right now, guys. The line of heavy rain and rotation is expanding really from, say, the North Carolina-Virginia border into areas very close to Martinsville. This is the 220 corridor right here. 220 corridor right now, not amongst the areas that are seeing this line of rotation right now, but that line of rotation will be quickly approaching Highway 220, and it is moving at about 50 to 55 miles per hour, which should push it a little bit closer to Ridgeway within about the next 5 minutes or so. So we're going to be keeping a very close eye on that 220 corridor, beginning here at about 215 to about 220. Chris?
Yeah, so one of the things that we want to kind of do is to bring this out a little bit, and I'll switch computers here. Tornado watch is in effect until 9 p.m. for south side. So you see there at the bottom of your screen, there's a tornado warning that's in effect until 9 p.m. Excuse me, until 2:30 p.m. The tornado watch in effect until 9 p.m. And I feel like a lot of times we use these terms and just expect you guys to know exactly what we're talking about. Well, let's make that abundantly clear here. Tornado watch is when you prepare. That means that something is possible. But with a tornado warning, that means something is likely, that you actually see the rotation happening, or that something is actually happening. Now, we don't have confirmation of a tornado right now in Henry County. This has all been radar indicated so far. So at least some good news in that respect, but that's just kind of the difference between a watch and a warning. And as Jeff was mentioning, it's kind of odd to see a tornado warning for a place that's in the upper 30s. This is not necessarily the most conducive environment that you would see for that. In fact, you look on the left-hand side of your screen and you see Martinsville just kind of socked in with clouds. But farther to the east, as this storm system kind of rides along that boundary, once you head into Danville and once you head into South Boston, that air is a lot more favorable for any kind of thunderstorms to develop and to potentially spin. So again, that's just something that we wanted to kind of get across to you guys.
And Chris, very important to note, the National Weather Service has just come out with an update. The tornado warning is continuing for Henry County and the city of Martinsville. It has been canceled for Rockingham County, North Carolina, for Patrick, and for Pittsylvania counties.
Okay.
So right now, the tornado warning is solely for Henry County.
Okay.
And again, you'll notice this is where the red box is. The red box is solely in Henry County. It does include Magna Vista High School. It includes Ridgeway. It includes Martinsville. It includes that 220 corridor, also that Highway 58 corridor, which is fairly heavily trafficked. So again, if you're traveling or have family or friends who are traveling on 220 or Highway 58, I would urge you to tell them to get off the road and maybe pull into a McDonald's or pull into a gas station and just kind of hunker down there. Chris?
And especially when you look at this particular part of the area, you've got when you're going from 58 to 220 northbound, there's that weird kind of exit where you can kind of loop around a little bit, kind of that motion that Jeff is making right there. And it's also kind of hilly at times, especially as you go north on 220. So you're not going to have a lot of room to see anything. It's also absolutely pouring rain in Southside right now. So if there is anything, it would be rain wrapped. And again, this alone, whether or not it's spinning or coming at you straight on, it sort of doesn't matter. Now, keep in mind, this is a few thousand feet up. And we've been talking about this all throughout the morning, is that the wind a few thousand feet above the surface is absolutely screaming. And these are just estimates of that. Again, this is not ground level, but any fraction of this that comes down to the surface could cause some damage. So you see estimates of 70 to 80 miles per hour, just a few thousand feet above the surface. On an average day, that wind is going 20 to 30 miles per hour, but it's clear to us that this is not necessarily your average day. Tornado warning continues until about 2:30. Still no confirmation, right, from the Weather Service, Parker?
No
it's
confirmation.
Just all radar indicated, so. Okay, and one other thing that we can do, I'll turn off the warnings, and there's really no evidence of debris. And the debris tracker here, you would look for like this blue dot for evidence of debris. And what I'm actually seeing is you may have some sleet a few thousand feet up that is bouncing the radar signal. You kind of see what I'm doing with the arrow there? It's actually kind of bouncing the radar signal a little bit. So that, to me, it's kind of weird to be talking about sleet and a tornado warning at the same time. But when it's 38 degrees in Martinsville, I kind of feel like that's a feasible thing.
Absolutely, it's feasible. Let's not forget earlier this morning we were dealing with freezing rain up into the Highlands, where we were having some, travel difficulties along Interstate 64. Fast forward, 6-7 hours later, and we're tracking a tornado warning in Henry County. That tells you the dynamics of the storm system that is pushing through the region. Of course, we issued this Weather Authority Alert Day a couple of days ago in anticipation of all this happening. Guys, let's do some street level mapping if you don't mind. Chris, could you zoom in to
sure.
Martinsville, and let's show you some of the areas that are seeing the worst of the weather. First, we're going to put a track on this. It's going to be in Chatmoss here within the next couple of minutes, sandy level by about 225. It's going to be pushing closer to Pittsylvania County as we get closer to the bottom of the hour. But again, right now, the only tornado warning we have in effect is for Henry County. You'll notice among the roads impacted, it looks like Joseph Martin Highway, Martinsville Speedway, among the folks seeing that rotation, that really heavy rain. Irisburg Road, there's Highway 58, there's 220. Magna Vista High School, again, there's that Sheets right along 220 that if you're traveling right now going from Martinsville to Greensboro, you can pull off in that Sheets parking lot and just kind of hunker down in that Sheets until this storm passes. Morgan Ford Road seeing some really heavy rain. I believe this is Rives Road in just south of Martinsville City, seeing some really nasty weather too. So again, these are the areas that we are most concerned about as we put on that storm relative velocity one more time. I want to make sure we're not seeing any more impressive echo. That's a lot of wind.
Yeah.
That is a lot of wind. And of course, we have the Martinsville Skycam up right now. It's at the top of your screen. I'm looking at it alongside you right now, and it's hard to see because it's small, but there's just torrential downpours falling all across Henry County as we speak.
Yeah, and one other thing that I want to mention, Jeff, as we were kind of highlighting, is you've got Highway 58 right here to the east of Martinsville. This is frequently traveled. If you were to go farther to the east, you're looking at Tunstall High School. There's Whispering Pines Road. There's, I want to say like it's an Irish deli. I think it's called O'Kelly's. And it's right across from where the Chatmoss Cablevision used to be. This is near Brosville High School. This is just to the west of Delano's Pizzeria. This is all right along Highway 58. So if you're in some of these places, you may not necessarily be under the tornado warning itself, but in Pittsylvania County, you're in the 50s, and that warmer air is a lot more conducive than what we're seeing in Henry County right now. And just forget rotation for a second. When you see these bright greens, again, this is just a few thousand feet above us that you've got wind of 70 to 80 miles per hour. If a fraction of that comes down, let's say half of that wind comes down and meets with our soggy ground, then we could be looking at some power outages. So that's at least a potential here with tornado warning that continues until 2:30. In fact, let me go. I'm going to clean that up. There you have it. 2:30. There's your tornado warning for Martinsville, for Ridgeway, for Horse Pasture, for areas just to the north and east of that. Haven't heard if they're going to continue that and move it into Pennsylvania County, but we'll await word on that.
At the very least, I would imagine them putting a severe thunderstorm warning out for it because of those winds that we're seeing.
And I think there is. Yep, there it is.
There it is, okay.
Yep, so you
Good.
have a severe thunderstorm
Good.
warning until 3:15 for the areas shaded in the yellow. So let's kind of talk about that a little bit. I don't see a tornado possible tag on it, but nonetheless still worth watching. There it is for parts of Pittsylvania County, the city of Danville, north toward Chatham. Again, all those places that we were talking about before. Axton Elementary is right there on Highway 58. So hopefully we're doing our part to stay weather aware. I just spoke with you guys, the first and second graders, not long ago. But areas like Cascade Road is just to the south right here. Maybe even as far north as Sandy Level. This is where we've got this, again, severe thunderstorm warning until 3:15. The tornado warning continues for about another 10 minutes in Henry County, Jeff.
Yeah, guys, also very important to note that in the middle of your screen, the top picture right there that you see is the Martinsville New College Institute Skycam. The middle picture that you're seeing is of US 220 in Henry County in Martinsville. So what you're looking at there is a live picture from downtown Martinsville of US 220. So again, that kind of gives you an idea of what it looks like in Martinsville as we speak. So again, you've got two different pictures right now from where we're seeing the tornado warning. The top one is in downtown Martinsville, and the second picture that you see down is of US 220 in Martinsville in Henry County. All right, so this thing is moving pretty quickly to the east, about 50, actually probably to the northeast, at about 50 to 60 miles per hour. Again, these cells that we've been tracking since they've been moving in from North Carolina, the ones further south are actually moving faster than that at about 60 to 70 miles per hour. Now, I will tell you that Sandy Level, you're next in line here. We think it's probably going to impact you folks in Sandy Level within about the next 10 to 15 minutes. Cascade in about 15 minutes from now. Tunstall High School, anytime between about 3 and 3:15. Chatham High School, anytime between about 3:25 and 3:35. So again, we are looking at this moving eventually from Henry County into Pittsylvania County. And as of now, we have had no word from the National Weather Service that they're planning on extending this tornado warning into Pittsylvania County. As a matter of fact, they actually canceled the tornado warning earlier for Pittsylvania County. But as Chris has been saying, anytime you see these light blues showing up here, that's an indicator of a lot of wind. We're talking, about 5,000 feet high. We're looking at wind speeds of 60, 70, maybe even 80 miles per hour. All you need is, half of that to come to the surface, and you got yourself 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts, which, when it's this wet outside, could topple trees. And of course, if we topple trees, then we could have some power outages. And of course, you also have this broad rotation going on right over Martinsville City and points to the east. So you can see these greens and these reds close together. They are separated by a little bit of gray or white, and that's a good thing. You don't want them, side by side, because that's a very strong rotation. I'm going to toss it over to Chris.
Yeah, so one of the things I want to talk, because I actually just noticed that as you were kind of analyzing things, we're talking about the temperature difference here. And I have a feeling it's going to play a big role in how this storm behaves as it moves into Pittsylvania County. So when you have the warm air to the east, you've got this cold air punching into the storm, and that's actually helping to intensify the wind. Would you agree with that,
yes.
Jeff? Is that we could
cold air intrusion? Yep.
Yeah. So exactly. So it's kind of just the way that the air behaves is that when you have this rain-cooled air, it's going to rush from the cold to the warm. Again, 30s in Martinsville right now. Danville's pushing about 60 degrees. So
it's significantly warmer.
Yeah, so whether or not you have any sort of rotation, which we have a little bit of right there, you're going to get the really strong, what we call outflow winds. And so my concern, potential concern is that we could wind up seeing some power outages, and I have those plotted right now on another computer, and in fact, we have some in Pittsylvania County. So let me see if I can bring those up, the exact number.
Interestingly enough, there's not a ton in Henry County.
No, there really isn't. So let's zoom in here. And so Pittsylvania County, now I'm not saying this is a direct result of the storm, but we might be talking about those outflow winds already getting to them.
Yep.
And so the number that we see here in Pennsylvania County is an estimate of 1,000 outages. I don't know if that's the exact number. This is data that's being pulled from poweroutage.us, but there's an estimate of 1,000 power outages there. Also around Danville, 300, Patrick County, an estimated 300 as well. So keep in mind, these are estimates, but this is certainly worth keeping an eye on.
And keep in mind, Chris, the worst of the storm hasn't even gotten into Pennsylvania County yet.
Right.
So those numbers may actually go up here as we head over the course of the next hour or so. I don't recall, and I've been doing this since 2003 here, ever having a tornado warning with temperatures below 40 degrees. I can honestly say I don't recall a time ever seeing that here in Southwest Central and Southside Virginia. So that just tells you about kind of the kinematic environment or the wind environment going on right now with this storm system. My goodness, if you were to fast forward this until April and May, it would just be a nightmare. But again, this is January. It's cold outside, at least for some of us, and we're still seeing this rotation and these thunderstorms really developing. Not a whole lot of lightning in these storms, but certainly a whole lot of rain, wind, and this is just a nasty
I gave you the remote just in case the hand tracker does work.
No worries.
Yep.
And as these showers and thunderstorms move to the east at about 50 miles per hour, it does look as though we're going to be seeing some of the worst weather entering Pennsylvania County. We've been focusing on Henry County, rightfully so, because that's where the tornado warning has been. But soon the environment's going to become a little more conducive for some spin, some rotation out across portions of Pennsylvania County. Again, right now, National Weather Service just has this severe thunderstorm warning, and I do believe there are a couple of them right now for Pennsylvania County that will last any time between about 3 and 3:15. So again, the reason that they are issuing these warnings is because of the wind. Okay, that's the reason that they're doing this. Go ahead, Chris.
And in fact, you've got a new warning right now that's actually just to your side there, Jeff. That's a severe thunderstorm warning that's in effect until 3 p.m. And this does, it takes into account the storm that we've been tracking here for the past 25 minutes or so. I have that one highlighted. This is the severe thunderstorm warning in effect until 3 p.m. This is south of Rocky Mount as you were to go across Highway 40 there toward areas like Chatham, just near areas like Hurt and Alta Vista. So again, this is just to the north of Martinsville, but it takes into account that line that we've been tracking, that bright green. You can't miss it. In fact, I'm going to kind of take the warnings off so that you can see exactly what I'm talking about. What was that?
Chris, I will tell you that the tornado warning has been allowed to expire in Henry County.
Okay, good.
They just allowed it to expire about 20 seconds ago. So no more tornado warning for Henry County. There's still some rotation. This is something that we're still going to be monitoring very closely for you here at your local weather authority as these thunderstorms make it from Henry County into Pennsylvania County. Parker, do you have anything to say? I know you're not mic'd up, but I can relay because Parker's looking at several different things right now. You can just use my microphone. Go ahead.
It says for Henry, Virginia, city of Martinsville. So I'm curious to see if it's been extended out towards the east and it no longer includes the city of Martinsville. Chris, what are you looking at over there?
As far as, I'm sorry, I was checking up on some other things.
Is it popping over there? The warning, is it
The
still
tornado warning or
severe thunderstorm.
Severe thunderstorm warning
for Henry.
Yeah, well, that's still popping up only because they expired it within less than 10 minutes of 2:30. So that's why it's still there.
Okay.
That's just kind of a nuanced thing in our system.
But there's a new red box. It just looked like there was a new red box that popped up. Maybe that's just tornado water. That's a flash.
That's probably there's so much going on here. So many different polygons. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so we are looking at this tornado warning expiring at the bottom of the hour. We've got 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that we continue to monitor for Pennsylvania County and points to the north due to the wind that we've been telling you about, very strong winds, even if there's no tornado on the ground, and we've had no confirmation that there is. Still a couple of severe thunderstorm warnings that we're going to be tracking moving across south side locations here for about the next couple of hours or so. Chris, anything you want to add before we toss it back to programming?
I think we're good. Just keep checking back. Have our app downloaded. That's how you get these alerts within seconds. They're automatically sent out to you. And when we're not on air, we're streaming on WSLS.com anytime that these warnings come into effect. So for some finality to this coverage, I'll toss it back to Jeff.
All right, guys, we'll toss it back to programming. If we get another tornado warning as these cells move into Pittsylvania County, rest assured we're on top of it, and we will break into programming again. But for now, we're going to let the crawl do the work. Have a great afternoon. Be safe out there, friends.